If you're a QuickBooks customer looking to grow without the growing pains, you need the Intuit ERP, the AI native ERP that upgrades right from QuickBooks. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. We're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
Hello and welcome to the Holocron Histories podcast, where we discuss the canon versus legend lore of the Star Wars universe. I am Austin, also known as Teacup. I am one of your hosts for this podcast.
And I am your other host, Ben of Temeria.
Yeah, and so we're continuing on in a series about starfighters, which are my favorite part of the Star Wars universe. After lightsabers, of course. I mean, who doesn't want a lightsaber?
Right? Like, out of everything, when I think I want something from the Star Wars universe to be true, it's either one will be starfighters. No, sorry, lightsabers. Number two is droids, because I'm a sucker for astromechs. I need my own astromech. They're awesome. And three is starfighters, because why not have a, personal spaceship to go around the entire galaxy in like a blink of an eye?
Yeah, it's great. So last week we talked about the X-Wing, and so we've done the Imperial Star Destroyer that does not destroy stars. And then you have the X-Wing. So where are we going next?
So this week we are going to go over the counterpart to the X-Wing. We're going to be talking about the TIE Fighters.
The TIE Fighters. Probably one of the more iconic sounds of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, that I'm not even trying to attempt the sound. I almost did.
But it's like a scream. I think
it's
Thrawn
like a,
described it
it's
as
like
a scream.
Yeah, it's like a screeching scream, kind of like a wailing spirit almost. But as always, we are going to start with the Legends portion of the history of the TIE Fighter. So the basics TIE Starfighter were designed at some point after 22 BBY and was inspired by the number of other Imperial Starfighters manufactured by Sonar Fleet Systems, which collectively known as the TIE series. And as you see the movies, or even any of the shows, you notice there are, the standard TIE fighter that is most commonly used, but there are so many different variations of this TIE fighter. Like, at least a dozen, almost 24 different, versions of this one flipping ship. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, TIE Fighter. Just, when you think of a TIE Fighter, you think of this basic one, but I guess they're all TIE Fighters, even though they do have different names.
Yep, and we'll go into that in the episode, but yeah, they're all considered TIE Fighters, even though they're not normally called just TIE Fighters. So the TIE Line fighter was one of them and replaced the original model of the standard fleet fighter in the Empire. While the original TIE had performance partly with heavier built X-Wings, the newer TIE LN boosted improved engines and more powerful weapons, surpassing contemporary Rebel fighters. So the LN series, the TIE LN, is the most common TIE fighter that we all see. It has, boosted engines so they can move extremely fast. But as we will go further on, it's a double-edged sword. Full-on double-edged sword for them. TIEs would be used in massive numbers throughout the Galactic Civil War and would be regarded by many as a symbol of the Empire. Some TIEs fell into the hands of the Rebellion, who would sometimes use them to infiltrate Imperial facilities. It has been intended that the TIE LN would be replaced by the TIE Interceptor as a direct result to the T-65 X-Wing Starfighter owned by the Lightspeed Panthers, outperforming them in the Fehu campaign, resulting in 286 destroyed TIEs. Indeed, interceptors began to see greater use around the time of the Battle of Endor, but the collapse of the Imperial government into secularism precluded this. Ooh, words are hard. So, as we said in the last episode for the X-Wings, there was the Fehu campaign where they only had like a couple dozen TIE fighter or X-Wings, but they took down almost 300 TIE fighters. And this showed the superiority of the X-Wing compared to TIEs. And then, the Empire, hey, we're going to make something better. So we're going to make the TIE Interceptor, which are, like, the wings are like, if you see me on camera, if you're watching the Twitch channel, they're like a V pointed out towards the cockpit on both wings.
Yeah, it's like little blades on the end as opposed to like squares.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, like, I can't remember. Because in some games, they give TIE fighters rockets.
True. And I
don't know if
I think that's a game mechanics in most of the time. Because I don't know if they have... I don't think they have rocket tubes or anything on...
Well, especially if the X-Wing can only... It's not till, like, well after the Rebellion that the X-Wing begins to handle more than 2 proton torpedoes.
True.
And so, I mean... Red Squadron... I think they go up to Red 12 in A New Hope.
I think so, but don't quote me on that. I don't remember how many...
I can't remember either, but, like, there's not a lot of them, and they take down the Death Star.
Yeah.
And, like, most of them are personally taken out by Vader.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
And they're... The other ones, not really a lot of them are taken down by regular TIE fighters. They're taken down by Vader, or they're taken down by the turbo lasers.
Yep. Because there's way too many turbo lasers. Even in the trench. But yeah, and then talking about Vader's TIE, like, his TIE is its own unique version of the TIE in itself, which is insane.
His TIE is probably closer to an X-Wing because it has shield generators, it has hyperdrive, it has all kinds of stuff.
Literally everything he used when he was in the Clone Wars. Oh, would you look at that?
Right. And another thing about, like, one advantage to the X-Wing is that it has a seat for an astromech.
True.
And so it can perform on mid repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And the TIE fighter can't. Once the TIE fighter is damaged, there's no, like, fixing it mid battle.
Yep. Good luck. Good luck on if you can survive.
Right. But anyway, they are very useful in large numbers, as shown in Rebels when Hera and Phoenix Squadron try to go to Lothal, and they're just wiped out by probably like 300 to 500 TIEs.
Yep. It's not a good... Yeah, them in numbers is one thing. But as the Galactic Empire retreated, more and more facilities found themselves behind New Republic lines and ceased production. The New Republic made limited use of the captured TIEs, equipping them with shields and assigning them to sectors where they weren't considered a symbol of the Empire. Most of the notable use of the New Republic service was the Battle of Aldumar. Captured TIE fighters were also used for the deceptive purposes, such as during the mission to Brevelf, Prefifth Belt 4? I think that's how you say it. By the time the peace treaty was signed, the Empire, now known as the Imperial Regiment, began to use export starfighters manufactured by other races such as Solastan's Solar Subs Corporation Prey Bird class starfighter because they lacked the manufacturing facilities to build new TIE fighters. Ooh.
And this is something that is a little different when we were talking about Star Destroyers, because the New Republic would capture Star Destroyers and utilize them. But in Legends, they did not with the TIE fighters. They decimated the TIE fighters. Which makes sense when you have when what you think is a superior aircraft. They like destroy TIE fighters or they scrap them. So it's really difficult for the Imperial Remnant to manufacture TIE fighters.
True. And I mean, and there's also the fact that, like, the Star Destroyers themselves, if you had anybody in the New Republic who served in the Clone Wars, and, like, served, say, on the Narrator class starship, or Star Destroyer, quote-unquote, the layout's almost the same. I mean, they're compared to Star Destroyers, the Star Destroyers were heavy fortified ships. They can transport multiple things, including troops, rations, medical supplies, whatnot, ships. But TIEs, they get shot, they just blow up. That's it. Just takes one good shot, and that's all you have. So, some of the characteristics of the TIE. The TIE Fighter was the original design, later upgraded TIE models, such as the TIE SA Bomber, so the TIE Bomber, the TIE IN Interceptor, the TIE D Defender, and the TIE D Automated Starfighter, and many more. And, the TIE Bomber, the TIE Interceptor, the TIE Defender, if you ever play any of the Star Wars Rogue Squadron games, there was the Star Wars just Squadrons that recently came out a couple years ago that you can play all these ships, the Bomber, the Interceptor, the Defender, which they added later with in the standard TIE.
Did they ever shore up the crossplay on Star Wars Squadron? Because it was real buggy when I first played it.
See, I haven't played it probably since launch.
I haven't either.
And that was 2019? No, 2020, I think.
20 something.
It was 2020 when it came out.
Yeah, because I had moved from Chicago at that point, so I moved in 2020.
So, yeah, I have no idea about that one. But you can play all those TIEs and Squadrons if you want to play a newer game. The TIE Fighter was a descendant of the TIE Starfighter and the V-Wing Starfighter, both developed by the Galactic Republic, and was manufactured by Sinar Fleet Systems, and by TIE Starfighter, it's TIE is an acronym. I can't remember what the acronym stands for in TIE. But, if you know what the V-Wing is, the V-Wings are pretty cool starfighters. They weren't heavily used, if I recall.
No. The first time we see them is in Revenge of the Sith. And they're seen escorting the shuttle that Palpatine is transporting Anakin back to Coruscant in.
Oh, God, it's not till the very end of the film.
Yeah.
I never noticed that. So, addition to the TIE and the V-Wing, it was also descended from the TIE Starfighter, the first TIE model developed for the Galactic Empire, the namesake for the fighter and the line of the Sinar Fleet Systems, the PS4 twin-ion engines that acted as its engines. However, it was also, to some degree, was named after an item of clothing due to the overall shape resembling a bow tie.
So we have canonical proof, well, not really because it's legend, but that exists in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, bow ties existed.
All right.
So the TIE LN's engines was one of the most precisely manufactured propulsion systems in the galaxy, and with no moving parts, with low maintenance. Unlike the TIE before it, the TIE LN sported independent generators for the engines and the weapons. So that's how the reason they move so fast is because the propulsion systems are the top of the line advanced. But due to that, the lack of the combat shields, hyperdrive, and life support systems, and concrete with the advanced engine design, reduced the mass of the fighter, conferred exceptional maneuverability. This also made both inexpensive and quick to replace. So, with it being a very high mobile starfighter, it has barely much of any combat systems. At least with shields and a hyperdrive, and sadly enough, there is no life support. So if you run out of fuel out in the middle of deep space, you're kind of SOL. Or if a wing gets shot off, you're also kind of screwed. So yeah,
The Empire's not really concerned with the life of their pilots.
no. Oh. One's gone. All right, cool. Let's grab another one off the street. Pretty much. Or, well, within canon, they go to an actual academy. But, yeah. Primary armaments was a pair of LS1 laser cannons, coupled with a powerful sensor suite. The cannons were regularly powerful, with a well-placed hit on a starfighter or medium transport could damage or destroy it. It did not carry any missile tubes, but such weapons could be added if necessary. So, yeah, going back on the whole missile thing, they did not carry missiles. Normally. They could if they truly wanted to. But I would imagine most TIEs didn't because the whole movability, they want to be able to maneuver as much as fast as possible, and imagine they wouldn't. That's where the TIE bomber comes in.
Now that I think about it, so both the X-Wing, the Y-Wing, and the A-Wing, I believe, could all be fitted with an ion cannon, or something with an ion.
Mm-hmm. True.
Which is mainly used to, disable ships, to be
True.
boarded, or... The TIE fighters...
It's a straight-up laser.
Which doesn't make sense to me because I know the Empire's evil and everything, but they can't want to kill everyone they're after. There've got to be some things where we need them alive so we can...
Well, if you make a well-placed shot at a ship's engines, you could disable it that way.
Yeah, but you're just as likely to cause a chain reaction to blow it up.
Fair enough. That's true. That's true.
It's could I hit it with an EMP? Could I hit it with a grenade? I could disable with both. But
that's a pretty good metaphor, actually.
Saying.
Oh, that's actually, yeah. Due to the lack of life support systems, each TIE pilot had a fully sealed flight suit superior to the Rebels' counterpart. The absence of the hyperdrive also rendered the fighter totally dependent on a carrier ship when deployed in enemy systems. TIE LNs also lacked landing gear, another mass-reducing measure. So, as you can see, if you ever watch Star Wars Rebels and you see all these small transport ships carrying TIEs, that's basically what is going to be carrying the TIE fighter through all multiple systems through their hyperdrive. Because they don't have their own.
Right. And, yeah. Did the ARC fighters have hyperdrives?
Now that you mention that, I'm not entirely sure on the top of my head.
I know the Y-Wings did.
Yeah, the Y-Wings did.
Right, but the Jedi starfighters didn't have hyperdrives.
They had to go and use their hyperdrive circle things.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they're officially called. But I think the ARC 170 did. I think. It'd be kind of weird if they didn't for that starfighter. The Jedi ones I can make sense because how small they are and how the Jedi can use that small style of starfighter to move as fast as they and maneuver as well as they can.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. That is a topic we can discuss later in the future. So while the ships were structurally capable of sitting on their wings, they were not designed to land or disembark their pilots without special support. On Imperial ships, TIEs were launched from racks on the hangar bays. Okay, so you're just going over that. Every time we see now a TIE in canon just land on its wings is not correct.
Well, we don't see the standard TIE fighter ever land on its square wings. Sometimes we see them
I guess you're right.
But they're supported by, they have, scaffolding where the pilot could get up and get into there. And if you're thinking how they're carried in ships, think about the opening to Force Awakens, where Poe and Finn are trying to escape in the TIE, and it's tethered to that, and they can't get out.
Good point. Now that you said that, yeah, all the TIEs that we have the folding wings. Every time we saw one land, it was like a special TIE.
The second sister TIE fighter.
Yeah, the Inquisitors, even Moff, not Tarkin, Gideon. Moff Gideon, he had a folding TIE. Oh crap, man. Darn. So power conduits were attached between the engines and the solar arrays. TIEs were designed to attack in large numbers, overwhelming the enemy craft. Standard attack squadrons consisted of 12 fighters, while full attack wings were made up of 6 squadrons. Holy crap. So most attack squadron, each squadron's made of 12. Most attack wings are made of 6 squadrons. That's 64 TIEs in an entire attack squadron? 6 times 12? 64? Something like that? No?
72.
Jeez, math's hard. Don't quote me on math. 72 TIEs. That's even worse than 64.
Well, look, here's how I had to do it, because I was trying to do the math and everything in my head, and then I was like, okay, well, 12 times 5 is 60, so add 12, 72.
Well, crap. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, that's a lot of TIEs for an attack wing. That's almost 100 TIEs for an attack wing. Makes sense. The Imperials used so many that they came up to be considered symbols of the Empire and its might. They were also very cheap to produce, reflecting the Imperial philosophy of quantity over quality. Makes sense. Contrary to popular belief, the ships did possess ejection seats, but the nature of the space warfare often resulted in pilots riding their craft down to a swift end rather than ejecting, risking slow death by heat loss and oxygen starvation in the vacuum of space. Huh. Or they just blow up because the TIEs don't have enough response to eject since there's no shields. So there's that. The ejection system was more of a formality than anything else, given the delicacy of the craft. By the time enough damage was done to require the pilot ejecting, it would likely be already destroyed itself. Oh, there you go. Something I just said. The design choices of the TIE LN could arguably be explained by Imperial military philosophy, which viewed the starfighters and their pilots as expendable assets. Though Imperial pilots were also an elite stock, they were also expected to consider themselves expendable in accordance with the ideological training, which is terrifying. And then other Imperial pilots considered TIE fighter pilots to be suicidal due to how expendable the TIE fighters or starfighters were, which also makes sense. I mean, during the time, the pilots kind of perish with the ship.
Yeah.
Like stormtroopers, TIE pilots have their own identification, such as DS-61-2. The first two letters indicated the posting, the next two or three digits indicated the squadron number, and the last number indicated the pilot's ranking in the squadron. This procedure reduced them from being no more than anonymous and standardized operatives of the Imperial war machine. This attitude was further rejected by the lack of sentimental attachments to particular TIEs by TIE pilots, unlike Rebel pilots, who often grew attached to their craft. As far as they were concerned, every fighter, whether reconditioned or factory fresh, was identical. They were considered to be nothing more than tools, much as the same way as the pilots were. Which kind of makes sense there. I mean, with TIEs being mass-produced as they are, compared to where the Rebellion had a very limited number of starships, and then the pilots being assigned to that fighter, and they're stuck with that fighter unless they go down with it. Kind of makes sense,
right? I mean, and it's also like an empire is evil. Of course, they don't care about the people.
Yeah, they don't. They're expendable. It's whatever. We have plenty of other cannons to bring in that will be willing to fight. A disadvantage of the fighter was its lack of deflector shields, and combat pilots had to rely on the TIE LN's maneuverability to avoid damage. The cockpit did incorporate crashing webbing, a repulsor lift, anti-gravity field, and a high G stock seat to help protect the pilot. However, these did next to nothing to help protect against enemy blaster fire. It helped against the G-force when you're flying so fast, but that's basically it.
Have you ever worked in a warehouse or a factory?
No.
This very much feels like we have these because we have to safety regulations, but we got the bare minimum.
Right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Hey, here's something we don't go against galactic law.
I feel like what they have is what their insurance company mandates them to have.
Right.
You can't insure a car that doesn't have seatbelts.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something with the Senate, they passed a law, it's hey, you need to have this sort of regulation, and the Empire is okay, we'll do that, but only that.
We'll do that, and we'll do it badly.
Yeah.
But we'll do it.
However, despite its lack of protection, the fighter was at least able to survive glancing hits, such as when the quad laser cannons on the Millennium Falcon were able to hit a TIE fighter without actually destroying it. The TIE LN starfighters' obnoxious, I think that's how you say it, twin ion cannons were also notoriously easy to sabotage, as all it takes is moving an energizer out of alignment for a TIE recharge systems for them to become time bombs. Oh, that's nifty. The side view of the TIE LN's radar panels curiously resembles the emblem of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, but it is not clear if similarity was intentional. The front-rear cross-sections of the fighter was designed to be small to make it difficult to hit with blasters, but the side panels proved easy targets for flanking enemy pilots. They were also hampered by the fighter's ability to maneuver while in the atmosphere due to their distinct shape. TIE LNs came to refer to occasionally as eyeballs by enemy pilots. And that's what we have in Legends. And that is kind of interesting how the side panels look like the emblem of the Confederacy. I did not realize that.
Yeah. Also, the thing that, that's what they makes them easy to hit from the side. It makes me think of in A New Hope when they're escaping the Death Star and they're in the gun turrets, and you get to the fence of the little radar, and it's like 90% the TIE like side wing.
It's the wings.
Yeah, like hit there. That's where you hit.
It's the target on the ship. Just hit that. Just hit it. You're done. You don't have to do anything else.
You know, stormtroopers can't hit anything. They have easy targets. TIE fighters, I mean, it's like the Empire wanted to be overthrown.
Yeah, I this is a little side tangent, but I mean, if you're talking about the Empire, like the issue with the Empire was the fact they went quantity over quality. That was their issue. Like if they focused on more quality, and we all knew they had the credits to do it, to have the quality there. I think they would have been pretty almost unstoppable if they focused more on that and instead of like, hey, we're going to pump out as much as we can and not care.
I mean, think about like, isn't that how corporations are though? Like,
true.
I mean, you work for I'm not gonna, but you work for a.
I work for a gaming corporation. Yeah, I understand that.
And I had a friend who worked for the said gaming corporation, and I'm 90% sure that their like management system and everything for like sales and everything is terrible.
I mean, no comment on that. I wouldn't say it's terrible now, but yeah, we'll go on from that. I think this is a good time to go to the break.
Yeah, let's go on to the break. All right, welcome to the Middle Show, where we talk about everything about the podcast that doesn't have to do with the lore of Star Wars. And so it's at this time that I want to thank our patrons, all of our patrons from every tier for supporting us. We greatly appreciate your support. And I believe we have a new patron since our last episode.
No, it's still the 4. We called them all out.
Oh, I didn't know if we had called it out or not.
Yeah, we did.
So anyway, thank you to all the patrons who are there. If you'd like,
I'll say if we didn't call you out, I'm pretty sure we did, but I just call out Morton again. He signed up for our Jedi Knight Sith Lord tier. So thank you for supporting the show.
Yeah. If you'd like to support us, you can go to patreon.com and find the link and support us there. Various tiers with various benefits. You can go there. We greatly appreciate it. Another way to support us is to leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. If you leave us some words, we'll read it out on a future episode of the show. And yeah, that's... And you can join our Discord, the Cups Podcasting and more. You can come and hang out and talk to us about Star Wars. You can talk to us about my other podcasts, the Assassin's Creed Lorecast, the Dragon Age Lorecast, or come and talk about random things that we just talk about, or other games, or the new House of Dragon series, or whatever.
By the way, that looks good.
Yeah.
I'm still curious how it's going to go, though, because it's not like... Isn't it all new material?
Well, there's technically a book series.
Oh.
It's based on Fire and Blood.
Okay. I'm not huge into Game of Thrones, so it's...
Right. So then... So they're not having... And it's like a complete series. So they're not having to make up stuff. But yeah, so you can come talk to us, hang out there. You can also join us on the Robots Radio Discord. We're there too. Hang out with us there. But yeah, I think that's all I got. You got anything, Ben?
Yes, I do actually. So, I will be streaming games on this channel, the Holocron Histories channels on Twitch. I'm going to try and I'm aiming to become an affiliate with the channel. So, come join me. I'm going to start streaming. I don't have like a streaming schedule yet because I'm still trying to figure that out. But I've been streaming like Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO. If there's any games that you guys want to see me play, I'll be down to play almost anything as long as I have access to get the game. I do have Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 available on PC, so I can stream those. Or I might have some Battlefronts. I would have to see. But, yeah, come join me on there. I will tweet out when I do go live. And you'll also be notified if you follow the channel.
Yeah, sounds like fun. All right. Well, let's get back to it.
Alrighty. Alright, we are back, and now we go into the canon of the TIE Fighter. So with the canon, following the transition from the Galactic Republic into the authoritarian Galactic Empire, the Republic-era weapons and equipment would continue to be utilized through the Imperial sphere. As time went by, the Republic's ETA-2 Actis-class light interceptor and the ARC-170 starfighters began to phase out roughly 5 years after the proclamation of the New Order. Which is sad because the ARC-170 is a fantastic starfighter. I love that thing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
The Empire's regional governor of the Outer Rim territories, Grand Moff Wilhuff Tarkin. His first name is Wilhuff?
Yeah.
I
just call him Tarkin.
Yeah, like, that's a weird name. Alright. Commission Sonar Fleet Systems create a line of single-pilot, short-range starfighters for the Imperial Navy. Tarkin mandated that the weaponized fighters should be extremely fast and maneuverable, energy efficient, and inexpensive to manufacture. Oh, so it's Tarkin's fault why their starfighters suck. That makes sense.
Which, it might just be like, because Tarkin is all about ruling the galaxy through fear. Like, everyone needs to be afraid of the Empire so that they don't rebel. And, maybe having expendable pilots that, like, they can just produce in mass is part of that fear. Yeah. Of, like, there's such a force that you might as well not resist. Because we don't care about the lives of our pilots, and we'll sacrifice them so that you can be destroyed.
That is true. I mean, we see in Clone Wars how there was a Clone Wars episode where Anakin goes rescues Tarkin, and you can tell Tarkin already had this ideology even during the Republic, and it was like kind of terrifying to see.
Yeah.
So, Rieth Sonar personally designed the fighters, basing them off designs from the Star Courier Alpha 3 Nimbus-class V-Wing starfighter and the ETA-2 Arctis-class light interceptor. The result was the center spherical pod positioned between two hexagonal solar energy collecting wings. Okay, so the wings are solar collecting.
Yeah, the ETA fighter is the Jedi starfighters we see in...
Oh, okay.
The ones that have
the triangle fighters.
Not the triangle ones, the ones that are like spherical and split down the middle.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the previous Jedi starfighter.
The ETA ones are
ETA 1, okay. So I never knew the names of those. I just call them the Jedi starfighters. To minimize power drain and maximize movability, Sonar ensured typically standard systems such as deflector shields and a hyperdrive. After a series of test flights, the Empire approved Sonar's design and executed an exclusive contract with Sonar for production of the TIE fighters. With TIE pilots instructed to ignore their own well-being in order to achieve their objectives, the fighters were extremely fragile and the pilots expendable. With the Imperial Navy's vast size and unchallenged reign over the galaxy, the use of the swarm tactics and subsequent mass production and refreshment of the vessels barely put a dent in the Imperial manpower and industrial capacity. Makes sense. The low-cost production also spurred the craft's use. As a result, many features were sacrificed to facilitate mass production, busting our fleet systems factories. Tarkin, an excellent pilot in his own right, was known to think very poorly of TIE Fighter due to his cramped cockpit and seamlessly disposed nature.
Well, then why did you commission it, Tarkin?
Yeah, no kidding, especially since he's a pilot himself. Like, really?
Hey, I did this. Oh, this is really bad.
Right. Imperial fighters also acted as psychological deterrents to potential sedacious activities with their roaring engines, inspiring fear in those who heard them, leading to Imperial commanders to order their pilots to purposely fly low over areas that needed reminding of Imperial might. So, yeah, as of earlier we talked about, there's screaming banshee sounds strike fear into the people because it's noticeable.
That's why you always see the TIE fighters on Lothal and Rebels flying like right near the buildings.
Makes sense. As part of the 5-year plan for the industrialization of the Outer Rim territories, TIE fighters were produced on a number of planets, including Lothal. The Empire also gave some of its ties to loyalist companies to help secure interests, including the variant such as the Mining Guild TIE Fighter, which we do see in Star Wars Rebels when they go and steal fuel from the gas planet. Where we see the whales. We see space whales. That's where we see those ties. While the Empire's rule was absolute for years, rebels began to arise as early as the year into its reign, and an early rebellion against the Galactic Empire was waged. The Spectres fought Imperial forces, including TIE fighters on Lothal, and later joined with the Phoenix Cell. So, with that being said, that is during the events of Star Wars Rebels. We see that to where, like, all of Season 1 is on Lothal. So, mainly on Lothal. But, yeah, they constantly take out ties on a regular basis. But it's only a couple ties at a time. It's not like a mass majority of ties.
Right, but they also have a big understanding of how TIE fighters work. Like,
true.
They sabotage them, they hack them, they do all kinds of things.
Yeah, literally, isn't like the first episode where Sabine's in like a TIE fighter, like docking area, and she literally just explodes an entire facility of them?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. Into BBY, Mon Mothma brought various rebel cells together as the Alliance to restore the Republic, while TIE fighters could engage unarmed and slightly defended civilian transports. They faced more formidable foe in the form of the Alliance starfighters. Following the destruction of the fourth Death Star, the classification between Army and Navy pilots referred as groundhogs and vac heads respectively was recited, and the Imperial military was undergo a mass reorganization. Which I don't know anything about that.
Me either.
After the rebels hijacked the Imperial 1 class Star Destroyer Harbinger, Luke Skywalker and Santa Staros used the stolen TIE fighters to patrol. Which I believe those are the comics. Because a lot of Luke's adventures between episode 4 and 5 and between 5 and 6 is mainly in the comics. Mm-hmm. As well, we see Luke get a yellow saber and everything before he gets his famous green saber. And then over time, a variety of other models arose from the TIE line, including notable vessels such as the TIE Interceptor, the TIE Bomber, the TIE Experimental Air Superiority Fighter, the TIE Defender, multi-role starfighter, and the TIE Reaper Attack Lander. Partly in direct response to faster and newer vessels manufactured by the Rebel Alliance, which the TIE Experimental, I believe, is the TIE Advanced, which is what Vader flies, and it's only like one of its kind of a thing, because it is shielded. As we said earlier, it has missile tubes and hyperdrive and everything what a normal starfighter would normally have, where everything else does not. A variety of the submodels of the TIE line had arisen throughout Imperial history, with sonar factories experimenting with localized improvements, producing advanced models suited for flying in local conditions, and incorporating secret technological breakthroughs. Ships such as the TIE Advanced, V-1 starfighter would see as used by flight barons and the high-ranking members of the Inquisitors. However, its extreme cost would later regulate its successor, the TIE Advance X-1, to be flown only by elite pilots and members of the Imperial hierarchy, such as Lord Vader. By the time of the Battle of Endor, the TIE interceptors made up 20% of the Empire's starfighter fleet. Which, that's actually pretty, I did not realize TIE interceptors, made up 20% by the Battle of Endor. That's kind of insane.
You see them all over the place in the Battle of Endor.
Following the Battle of Endor, Imperial supply shortages would hinder the production and further development of the TIE LN starfighters, forcing Imperial-class Star Destroyers to make do with an inadequate number of ships and inexperienced pilots. Go figure. They're all broken. Production data was classified, but according to numerous estimates, Sinar manufactured a minimum of approximately 4.6 million Imperial Starfighters for Star Destroyers, other Imperial Navy vessels, and Imperial garrisons and defense stations. Most estimates maintain that more Imperial TIE fighters were operational at the same time than any other starfighter in history. 4.6 million? And the Empire was, in power for, close to 20 years?
30 years.
30 years?
Yeah. So A New Hope is 19 years after the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
And I think, so maybe 25 years.
Okay. It was between 25, 30 years. Still, though, within that time span, 4.6 million? That's insane. Well, if we're thinking, our terms, that's ridiculous in 25 years of that much produced.
Right, and you think about the Empire, their rate of industrialization and expansion, they probably would not have been able to sustain themselves for very long, because in that time they completely decimated the world of Kashyyyk.
Oh yeah,
and
easy.
They just mass produced. I don't think longevity was Palpatine's goal. It was just get whatever I want.
Yep. I'm going to take over the galaxy and I'm going to do it. That's basically it. He did it until he was thrown down a reactor chute, but alright. So, the legacy of this TIE fighter. The legacy of the TIE fighter was not forgotten on the galactic stage, with Sinar Fleet Systems successor Sinar Jameis Fleet Systems producing the latest generation of TIE fighters utilized by the Empire's successor state, the First Order. So, not only does the Empire fall, but then, 30 years afterwards, when the First Order's around, Sinar is still making the same ships for basically the same people. The TIE SF, Space Superiority Fighter, and the TIE FO, Space Superiority... Wait, what the heck? Okay, I guess they're the same type of fighter. So you have the TIE SF, which I think is Special Forces, and the TIE FO, which I think is just First Order. Were a direct continuation of the imprint of the TIE fighter on a galactic citizenry, and featured advanced weapon systems and two-seated arrangements for use by the Order's Special Forces. So that is, if you watch the very beginning of Star Wars Force Awakens, when Poe is escaping the Star Destroyer with Finn, they're both in one TIE. That is a Special Forces TIE. And where, Finn is on a rare gunner seat, and Poe's piloting like he normally would be. Which is probably one of the best advancements for the TIEs, honestly. Because then you don't have any blind spots. Future historians would argue that the flaws inherent in the TIE fighter design were allowed to remain, if only to increase the Empire's dependency on sonar fleet systems for continued production of the craft, along with the increased dependency of the Kuat Drive Yard's capital-scale carrier ships. Which, and honestly, I wouldn't doubt that. A corporation specifically has a design flaw, so they would constantly resort back to that company to make more. Yeah.
Yeah, that tracks.
The amount of credits they racked in is on a crazy scale.
The Empire made a lot of people rich.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah. And so now we go to the behind the scenes of the TIE Fighter. So this is like, when they're making the movies and all that. Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, Colin Cantwell created the concept model of the established TIE Fighter ball cockpit and hexagonal panels designed for A New Hope. Sound designer Ben Brooke created the distinctive TIE Fighter sound effect by combining an elephant call with a car driving on wet pavement. So that's where we get the sound. It's from an elephant and a car driving on wet pavement.
Interesting. I think I remember hearing that in the Empire of Dreams documentary, which is on Disney Plus. If you want to go watch it, it's a great little documentary about the Star Wars.
Now I need to watch that. There is a new documentary coming out for Obi-Wan. Coming out, I think, next month or something like that.
Yeah.
So the original TIE Ellen fighter seen in New Hope were relatively white and were originally meant to have a maroon hull. One of the benefits of slightly reddish color would have been that the fighter models would have been as prone to blue spill as gray models were during filming against blue screens. Interesting. However, film composition tests revealed that the maroon chip blended too quickly into the vastly black starfield and moving away from the camera, so a light gray was used instead. The TIE Fighter model was featured in Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi were a blue-gray. Which makes sense. I mean, back in the 80s, or like late 70s, early 80s, you had to do what you could. I mean, there was like, I know they had blue screen, and I'm pretty sure had green screen during that time. Yeah, they had green screen.
I mean, that's why they went away from the blue on the X-Wings, because it wouldn't show up against the screen.
Combat scenes between the TIE Fighters and the Millennium Falcon and Rebel Alliance X-Wings and A New Hope were meant to be reminiscent, God, I can't speak today, of World War II dogfights footage. Editors used World War II air combat clips as placeholders while Industrial Light and Magic completed the movie special effects. Now that's kind of cool. They took actual footage from World War II and basically used that for Star Wars. I mean, you had to do what you got to do back then. They didn't have the tech we have now.
No, they did not. It's pretty amazing what they did accomplish.
Oh, yeah. The TIE Ellen fighters are one of the two starships available to Imperial players in Star Wars Battlefront, the other being the TIE Iron Interceptor. Compared to the X-Wings and the A-Wings, TIE fighters lacked shields but instead possessed good movability and speed. However, their large wing panels make them very easy to hit in dogfights, giving Rebel fighters a slight advantage to ship-to-ship engagements. And then the Ultimate Star Wars stated that the TIE fighters built on Lothal had shorter wings, as explanation for stylistic choices made for the TIE LN's design in the animated series Star Wars Rebel. However, Rebels Recon inside Always 2 There Are on StarWars.com said that there were no differences, since Pablo Holgado confirmed that on Twitter that the Ultimate Star Wars was incorrect. Which, I mean, I don't even know when Ultimate Star Wars was, because it's a book. I don't know when that was.
Obviously around the time of Rebels.
Mm-hmm. And then the reference book Star Wars Rogue One, The Ultimate Visual Guide, was the first reference book to identify the starfighter as the TIE LN Space Superiority Starfighter. It also defined the LN within the starfighter's name as standing for Line Addition. So, that's it. That's behind the scenes.
Yeah. Lots about TIE fighters.
Oh, yeah.
Just remember that whenever you hear that TIE fighter screech, just remember that it's an elephant and wet tires.
Elephant, yeah, exactly. Every time you hear the starfighter, yeah, it's literally just, hey, remember it's an elephant. You're just listening to an elephant in the car.
Yep. All right. Well, remember elephants and cars, and don't sign up to be a TIE fighter pilot, because odds are you're going to die in some fiery explosion.
Oh, yes. Yep, without a doubt.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Holocron Histories podcast. We'll see you next week.
And then may the Force be with you. Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com.